conquered all of Europe. We're never gonna stop. From Palestine to Turkey, we've won the fucking lot. But Paisley and the Shankly, the fields of our field gold. We are all supporters, and we come from Liverpool.
Title looks done, and that rhyming was purely coincidental, unintentional. But let's reveal who's underneath the overlay. G'day, Nick, your host, joined by Peter, the coach, and former, or say, former regular Steve Walding joining us on this one-off. Good evening to you first, Steve. How are you?
Good, thanks, mate. I know I've been missing in action for quite a few months, but good to get back on, even though it's not a massively positive one after the weekend, but it's good to get back on.
Before we get to Pete, quickly shout out to Jeffrey Sal, says, watching live for once, all I had to do was fly to a different time zone. I suppose if you want to wake up in the middle of the night or some absurd hour, then you'll know what it's like being a Liverpool fan living in Australia, watching games live, like myself, Steve, and Pete, the coach Caffeinus. Pete, good evening to you as well.
I don't know if it was so easy. Like, if that's all they had to do, then why do you do it more often?
Exactly right. Suffer like us. Suffer the same way we suffer. No.
If it was that simple, just do it more often, please.
It would be nice if people did take on that mantle of doing things that often, but it's not. Sometimes people just do not want to do the hard work. It's waking up early. I don't want to do that. Screw that. Let them other people do it. It's like, mate, you want to really be a Liverpool fan, then you watch at all hours. But before we get into the main topic at hand, the time zones have been a little bit better now. The early games are nice. They're 9:30 p.m. kickoffs for us, and then the late games aren't so late, except that the Tottenham game was a bit of a stretch for me, even in saying that. And there are only a few games left, so it's not the worst thing. But it says Spurs was 2:45 a.m. I prefer the 4:30 a.m. games in the US. That would be 4:30 a.m. That's early afternoon.
It was 4:45 for us. Yeah,
I think that's early afternoon in America, that sort of time. But anyway, I'm not here to talk about time zones. Here to talk about Liverpool FC. So the first thing we'll get into straight away, I'm gonna straight out with it, is the title chase over? Steve, because you have a mini for a while, I'll give you the first words there. The 1-1 draw against Tottenham, and I don't think this is the game that ended it. I'm gonna go to Pete on the next question here, but is the title chase over with 3 games left?
There's 2 ways to answer this. Is it over? No, because mathematically it's still possible. If you were to ask me, do I think we're going to win the league? My answer would be no. And I don't mean that in a negative, gloomy way. The Spurs result hasn't changed that for me. My opinion changed of that. It was the Etihad game. Before running up to that game, things were in our hands. If we'd have got a result there, then we were in control of our destiny. But obviously, I'm not saying a draw away to City was a bad result, but drawing that game meant that we were relying on City to slip up. We needed a perfect run in. We need them to slip up. And unfortunately, I've sort of never thought that City would drop points, and I haven't swayed from that. And the Spurs result doesn't change it. We still need them to drop points instead of needing them to draw. We now need them to lose, and then we need to get the goal difference going. But I just personally can't see it. I know where Pete's going to say the league was lost in the next question, but I think it is done. But am I going to physically give up and say we're not going to win it? No chance. No, because you never know. It's football.
It is football, Pete. And as we move on to that one there, as we said, as the title chase over, I also don't think it is yet. Mathematically, it is still possible. But in saying that, are Man City effectively going to have another point where they are going to do something that's going to render themselves in a bad way and have themselves drop points? I don't think so. But in saying that, you just don't know with these things because anything can happen. But as we can see here, some comments saying, I'm afraid it's over. Jamie Phillips says Liverpool need a massive summer. Pete, talk about that because you referenced something earlier on. There is some transfer news to discuss here. But going back to the whole thing there, this game didn't cost us the title, because let's go back many months ago now, games where we were comfortably in the lead, where we buckled, threw it away, crumbled, whatever term you want to put behind it, Peter. We'll go back to the two main games. I think you've said this before. You can draw or lose against the other teams that you're fighting for that top spot, but everyone else underneath you, you have to be winning games. Is that correct?
Yeah, look, drawing to Tottenham is no disappointment. I think, and Conte is a world-class manager. You know, he's no bum. And if you look at their players, they're no bums either. I think they're a top team, and yeah, they set up in a way that normally frustrates us on our best day. So for us, look, it sucks that we drew. The goal that we conceded is even more frustrating for me, more than the actual game itself. And that goal for me still snaps me now when I think about it. But ultimately, you know, if you look at fixtures at the beginning of the year without looking at the title race or points or whatever, you look at Tottenham and you'd say, look, as long as we don't lose to Tottenham, I think that's something that a lot of us would say eventually. Or you know, if you're looking at form, they're on a race for the top four. We're on the race for the title. They arguably the two most dangerous attackers as well in the Premier League, along with some of the ones that we've got. And one of theirs delivered, and our top goal scorer didn't. It's as simple as that. The goal we conceded for me was just weak, piss weak, and that's what really frustrates me. And I just thought we would give them a bit more of a challenge. That's all.
I actually thought so as well. I watched that first half asleep, half awake, and every time we went forward on the attack, I got up to see what was going on. Nothing happening. Back to snoozing it away, and then I couldn't stay up anymore. Crashed out. Woke up the next morning, and the first thing I did was look through the comments in the group chat to see what was being said, and there wasn't anything that sort of meant, oh, we got absolutely pumped or we lost that game, it's all over. I'm like, oh, we must have drawn the game. And I saw 1-1 and I'm thinking, okay, well, check the scorers, check the timing. And then you look at those goals. And as you said, the way we conceded the goal, Son with acres of space. I mean, he's arguably their best player outside of Kane when he's not having a hissy fit when he comes to his transfers and where he's going and things like that. How do you leave someone with that much space, Pete, behind on goal? You're the coach here, please. Coach
Something
us.
happened in these two games. See these two games here, which I agree with 1,000,000%, by the way.
Yep. They're the ones.
If you have a look during the game again, I'm not singling out this person, but it was Henderson who didn't know Emerson was behind him. So he actually pulled into that space behind him, free, which was an accident, by the way, because apparently Conte was screaming at him to go to the other side. And as he was going to the other side, the keeper shanked the kick, it landed to him. And they go and score from it. But if you have a look at the replay again, Henderson, he's behind Henderson and he just doesn't see him, doesn't track him, and then also doesn't turn and sprint back quick enough to track the run again or to defend outside the box area there. But the one thing for me was Robertson keeping them all on side, Robertson following instead of staying in the line. He actually follows and drops off another 3 or 4 yards, which he's done on numerous amount of times during the season. We've actually, one of our friends who's an unbelievable kind of analyst and the way he sees the game, Babiyagu on Twitter, had actually a really cool thread on the goal and how Robertson actually has done that on, I think, 4 or 5 separate occasions this season that have led to goals. So that's something, obviously, an individual error there that kind of led to the goal that ultimately ended our title race. But it's something that, again, it's just lapse of concentration. It's sloppiness. It's not the intensity and the, from what we've seen from our boys anyway, that aggression to be on the front foot. And to be fair, Kane had way too much time on the edge of the box anyway. But I expect at least the back four to be in sync. But they were completely in all sorts as that goal happened.
I mean, goal happens and they score first, Steve, and it's a second half. And we've always said the longer it takes for us to score the first goal, the more anxious Anfield becomes. And the more anxious Anfield becomes, the more chance the opposition have of bringing a counterattack or scoring themselves. And it happened. And let's not forget, Højbjerg smacked the base of the post in the first half. Van Dijk had a header graze the top of the crossbar as well. So there were chances for both teams. Evidently, nothing happened. And then they go ahead and then they score first. And then Anfield needs itself a savior of sorts, needs someone to spark something and make something happen. And that man was the man we've all spoken about for the last 4 months now, maybe pushing 5 months. That being Luis Diaz, who was probably the man of the match in this game. How did you see Diaz? I mean, the goal comes from a deflection, but hey, you have to have a shot in order for anything to happen. So, what did you make of us conceding and then moving forward to score the equalizer?
I mean, you hit the nail on the head with one of those games where the longer it goes on, the more nervous the stadium gets. You can sense that. And I think we sort of looked like we were running out of ideas even before they got their first goal. Their goal. It just looked like one of them things we'd sort of get it into the final third, and then that final pass or that final bit of movement was just missing. And then obviously Pete's explained how their goal came about, and it was a bit of a freak mistake on their part, but obviously we gave them so much, they had so much time there, and for Kane to pick that pass out onto the left and then just to drill it across. And yeah, Robbo is completely out of sync with the rest of the defence. Like Kanate, Van Dijk have pushed, sort of held their line, and he's a good sort of 2 meters behind them, and just got sucked in. So it was poor. It didn't actually surprise me, because Spurs, as frustrating as they were, and loads of people gave them stick on how they play, but they had a game plan. They did the same against City. It's how they beat City. Make themselves hard to defend against. Not defend against. Make themselves hard to beat in their defence. And then they have got one of the best counter-attacking lineup out there. So they caught us on the counter-attack. And then that happened. And then, obviously, the man, Luis Diaz, stepped up. And, I mean, he has, ever since he's come into the club, been absolutely phenomenal. And, again, he was... You look at our forward line, he was head and shoulders above Salah and Mane in this game. Salah had a poor game, and he, in my opinion, has been poor since the AFCON. Oof. He's had little glimpses here and there, but he's just...
I think Pete agrees.
Something not right there. And then, I mean, Mane's been, I think, very good in this switch that he's gone into the centre, but even him against Spurs, he didn't really do much. I don't recall him having the ball that often. So everything seemed to run through Diaz, and that's great for a new signing to come in and do that. But we need to be offering more threat across the three and the midfielders behind. But I mean, yeah, can't fault Diaz at all. Brilliant player. He's always looking to create that space and cut in on that. And yes, it was deflected, but I think the commentator said it. Sometimes you got to make your own luck, and he's the one that took it on. Spurs had 5, 6, 7, 8 players behind, in between us and the goal every time. So sometimes you've just got to have that luck and hit it. And all it needed, that little deflection, because we didn't really force Lloris into any saves at all.
No.
Yeah, I can't remember him actually needing to do anything to say like, oh, wow, Lloris came up trumps for him there. Like, I didn't see any of that. I mean, Pete, did you see anything magical in that game where you said, holy shit?
I think he just did the basic routine stuff in terms of the goalkeeper. Yeah. I think it was just a lot of routine saves, a lot of routine catches, a lot of stuff that wasn't really, threatening. But I think the point for me is we became that predictable Liverpool again. Well, not so much all of us. I think Salah, for me, was becoming way too predictable, and you can tell it's starting to get to him a little bit now as well. Like, we get it. We know you're not going on your right foot. Like, you're absolutely fooling nobody in the world right now. So maybe try something different. Like, maybe actually go down the right side or something. Like, I don't know. For me, it's like he's lost that little bit of oomph that he had when he used to go past players 1v1, because I saw one amazing thing he did during the game was actually late in the game as well, where he did this full sprints all the way back to stop an attack, and ran with, gone blank who it was at that time, but he did literally an 80-meter sprint to make sure that this player didn't have any success going forward. And he actually was telling, I think it was Trent or Van Dijk to stay inside, and he'll track him down. So he's still doing like the defensive side, maybe a little bit. He's still doing that stuff, and he's still doing all the other bits and pieces that he needs to for the team. But it's that final third stuff for me that's actually starting. You can tell it's eating away, that Diaz is now the man. And then he's trying to get involved in the goals. He said I wanted to score 40 goals. And you've got 4 games left, and that's what you're trying to do this shit. You're not going to score 10 goals in 4 games. Like, not at this point of the year anyway. So why not just do the simple things?
It's
we saw the same. we saw the same with Mane when Salah first came in. There was sort of a dip in his form, as if like
Yeah.
he was the main man the season before, and then Salah came in and everyone was lauding him. Mane's form dipped off that season for a good 3-4 months. And then I think he scored a screamer against Burnley on his left foot, and then he sort of picked up again from there. So I hadn't thought of it in that way, actually, Pete. So it's interesting you mentioned that.
The other thing is as well, when we talk about the forward line, I mean, look at the forward line. We've got Diaz, Mane, Salah, Firmino when he's fit, Jota as well, scoring 15 goals a season. We can score goals from midfield again somehow on the odd occasion, mind you. But I mean, 22 shots in total, only 3 on target, and they had 8 shots and 3 on target. I mean, what's going on with the attack, Pete? Is there something wrong with us moving forward, or is it simply the fact that these teams come to Anfield to frustrate and annoy the shit out of us, and have Klopp come out and say things like, I don't like their style of football, but he had to say that, and he had to say it's a personal thing for him, because in his mind, football should be entertaining. He understands they come with the game plan, but when you're fighting for a Champions League position, can you really afford to come there and be defensive and hope on a counter-attack?
Look, I don't think there's anything wrong. We've played literally every game you can play in a calendar year. Like, there's nothing wrong with what's happening right now, because you can't say something's wrong when we've made a Champions League final, FA Cup final, we've won the McDonald's Cup, Carabao Cup, whatever it is, and we're in a title race right to the end. So nothing's wrong. I think it's flat, maybe, because a lot of games have come thick and fast. But this is my argument. What I would say is that clearly Salah is out of form. So why not bench him? Consider, like, what's the point of having Jota, Diaz, Mane, Firmino, whoever it is, all this stuff, when you're going to keep one in there the whole time who's completely out of form and who looks like he may need a few days off?
It's Salah. It could happen. It could happen. Yeah, so many coulds, but
it hasn't happened since January.
What are the chances? No, it hasn't happened since then. Exactly. So why would you continuously play him? Yeah, he scores a couple of goals against United. Everyone thinks he's back again, but arguably since
it's not hard.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Seagulls can score 4 past United, so it's not exactly a mean feat these days. And he already did. They scored against United. But continue, Pete, as you were saying.
I just got this issue at the moment with the whole, like, I want Real Madrid, I want revenge, I want this, I want that. Like, just focus on the next game. Focus on getting some goals again before we play in a Champions League final, because I don't want him entering a Champions League final without a goal until then.
No.
Yeah.
And
it's playing
this isn't one of those things. Yeah, but this is one of those things now where Steve's, for example, saying, bench Salah, he's not good enough anymore. No. We need Salah fully fresh, fully fit, because he can win you a game on a drop of a hat. He's magical. He's fucking a goal-scoring phenomenon, but he's just out of sync at the moment. So with the players that we have that are available, I don't think we're going to lose much by benching him. That's my point.
No, and I agree on that as well. And if he's out of sync and his confidence isn't there and he's forcing things, that you can see, and it doesn't look natural to him. And if fast forward to the Champions League final against Madrid, he's got this vendetta, he's got this revenge, we've got a score to settle, everything like that. If he goes into that final and he's still in that same frame of mind where things aren't happening, things ain't clicking, I've got this just fear that he's going to go out there and be like a man possessed, just trying to do everything. And every time he gets the ball, he's just going to keep losing it or giving it away because he's just wanting to prove a point. I think you're right. Take him out of the firing line. I mean, we've got Villa midweek. Does he need to start that game? In fact, I think we might rest a few players in this Villa game coming up, going forward to the FA Cup final. And I think Salah could be one of them who needs it.
The only way we'll rest players, I think, if Klopp actually thinks that the title is done and dusted, so there's no point in pushing forward. We're going to finish second as it stands, so there's no reason to keep going for any. There's no reason. You lose your last 3, you're going to finish in second place anyway, so that's guaranteed. So arguably, I don't want us to lose the last 3 games. I still want us to push them to the end. I mean, if they have a draw against Wolves or West Ham or something like that, or they lose, let's just say, you never know what could happen. But the only reason he would rest players is if he actually thinks it's done, and we have an FA Cup game this weekend, and then in a couple of weeks after that, or the week after that, we've got a Champions League final. So what is it, Pete? What is it? Players rested now, or are we still pushing?
I think what's more important. This is why I've actually said on a million times on these shows that I'm actually just enjoying the ride. I'm not talking about title races. I'm enjoying the ride because here we are saying, let's rest players because we have a FA Cup final on the week. Then you can count it by me saying, yeah, but we're still in a title race.
Exactly.
Then I'll turn around and say, yeah, but why aren't everybody fit for the Champions League final? It's like, what the fuck's going on?
It's a great place to be in, isn't it? The way I look at it,
that's what I'm trying to say. But what I will do personally, again, I'll look at the Villa match. I know what Stevie's going to do. He's going to say, let's press them, fall into our favor. We're at home, let's attack them. He knows what he's doing. And then, because, when teams attack us, it actually suits us. I think, look, if it was me, I'd be resting Thiago without a doubt. Without a doubt, I'd be resting Thiago. I'd even throw Matip back in there because you never know what's going to happen the next couple of weeks. And he's missed a few games now, so I'll throw Matip back in there. Yeah. Potentially to rest Van Dijk, but even though that sounds crazy, I know, but I'd even rest Van Dijk, Thiago, and I'll rest Salah. And you know what? Robertson too, because in my opinion, he's been shit the past few games.
He looked off the pace at the weekend. I think the number of games has caught up on him.
Against Villarreal, for me, he was poor.
Yeah. You're responsible for at least one of those goals in that game. Yeah.
Of course, they went behind him 3 times and they scored twice.
Yeah. I think one thing about whether we rest players rotate for Villa, he's been rotating anyway, sort of a few here and there each game because of the number of games that are there. But the way I look at it now, it's not that I'm waving the white flag with the league. The way I look at it is the league is out of our control now. We can win our next 3 games and still finish 3 points behind City. We've got a cup final at the weekend where we have 100% control of that game. So, and then you've got the Champions League final in 3 weeks where we've got 100% control of what happens. We're in control of the destiny in those 2 games. The league, unfortunately, is out of our hands. We can still win it, but we're relying on something else. So what do you prioritize? It's hard.
Well, I guess the next question here, the FA Cup and the Champions League is left, which goes back to my initial question. Do you think Klopp is basically saying to them, we can't do anything else. Even if we win our next 3, I have full trust and faith in all you boys. Doesn't matter who I put onto that pitch, you're going to get the job done. But now let's just look at the weekend ahead. Is that the thinking of this team right now?
I think this team is built to look at one game at a time. And I truly believe that there's still that weird faint of hope that there's the chance that, look, Wolves away, we know that City have struggled against Wolves away. It's like a bogey thing. West Ham away, there are a few facts about this game that we need to speak about. It's Mark Noble's last ever game for West Ham at home.
Yeah.
Now, that means something because the players, the fans, he's a club legend. He's like their Steven Gerrard. Obviously a fucking terrible shit version, but he's their Steven Gerrard. But there's they don't want to go his last hurrah to be a fucking 5-0 drumming. So I feel like for me, because they're still, if they continue to win, don't forget they can still make 5th place Europa League. Yeah. Depending on what Tottenham does the next few games. Yeah. Because they've got Arsenal next. So they've still got the chance they could finish 5th in Europa League. So I look at that game there and I think, fuck me, if I was going to put any money on a game for City to drop points, it's that game there. But unfortunately, they have to lose. They can't even draw. They have to lose.
Yeah. You're either looking at them drawing 2 or losing 1. And even if they lose that one, it comes down to goal difference if we win all ours.
Yeah.
At the moment, they're ahead by 4, mind you, after their 5-0 win against Newcastle.
That 4's inflates what it's going to be because if you factor in they lose a game and we win because we have to win every game. So their goal difference is going to be at least 1 worse off if they lose by 1 goal. And our goal difference is going to be at least 1 better off by that point. Yeah. So at that point, we're 2 behind minimum.
Exactly.
It could be less. So the 4 isn't a huge concern. The concern to me is I think they can comfortably go and smash 4-5 against Wolves midweek.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe, yeah.
So
That's the thing. How do you compete with that? How do you compete with that? And then speaking of competing with that, is there anything else you want to add about the Tottenham game or anything before we move on to the next topic at hand?
No, I think the Tottenham game
fans
was
walking out at the end.
Of
our
Anfield,
fans.
Yeah, there were fans walking out after about 85 minutes.
I did not see that.
There's been quite a lot on social media about it, and I'm surprised Klopp didn't mention anything because it's been a bigger thing for him to stay to the final whistle. And
Yeah, right.
we should know over the recent years that, yeah, we were 1-0 down. We got it back to 1-0. Why can't we grab a late winner? And I think a lot of people in the ground were complaining that shitloads of people started leaving from about 85, 90 minutes onwards, which is shit. You want to be cheer the team on. Try and
No,
do the
you're
old thing.
pushing-
Try and suck the ball in the net.
You're pushing for a Premier League. You're pushing for a Champions League, number 7, mind you, and you're pushing for an FA Cup, which would be what, number 5, 6 FA Cup, whatever the hell it is. I don't even know how many FA Cups we've won. So why wouldn't you want to stay till the end and cheer the boys on? Give them that little
Exactly.
bit of extra hope. Give them that encouragement. But speaking of encouragement, Pep Guardiola, Pete's favorite manager in the world right now, because I've been keeping tabs on this prick over the last 24 hours, and this guy just loves to get underneath our skin. And he just loves to talk absolute shit, because bringing it up on screen right now, care of the mirror in this particular instance, he says Pep Guardiola can't resist Premier League title dig as he takes aim at Liverpool. And he says the whole world is against Manchester City and wants Liverpool to win the title after his side return to the top of the table. He says there's favoritism towards the team around the world after City moved 3 points clear at the top. Took a dig at Liverpool's record of winning a solitary league title in the last 3 decades, saying, quote, I can't do my own Pep impersonation, so I'm not going to try. But it says everyone in this country supports Liverpool, the media and everyone, of course, because Liverpool has an incredible history behind in European competition. Then he says, not in the Premier League because they've won 1 in 30 years, but that's not a problem at all. The situation, it is what it is. Like, come on, bro. You cannot be serious right now, dude. Pete, I know you're hanging to say something.
How sad.
Exactly.
Like, for me, it's favoritism. You're talking about your club is funded by people who violate the human right rule. Like favoritism. You guys have been how many times have they come up for investigation under the rules of what they call it, the financial fair play rules?
Financial fair play, and
how many times have they come up and nothing's happening?
Exactly.
They broke a rule. Didn't they break a rule and they only copped a $10,000 fine instead of being suspended points?
Yeah.
Who's getting favoritism here? Because last time I checked, they're also leading the league in VAR calls going for them.
Everything's working in their favor. I mean, if you think about it, that game against Everton where there was a clear handball that wasn't called back after a handball on what, Cancelo or Rodrigo, whatever the hell it was.
Rodri, yeah.
Against Everton,
And
that's
then
the title
at
there.
the end of the game, they're saying to themselves, "Oh, actually, yeah, we should have looked back. It actually was a handball, but it's done now, so whatever."
And the
That's
game
bullshit.
against Wolves, they got a penalty against Wolves where it hit someone there.
That's right, yeah, like square in the middle there. It's like underneath the arm. So, Jeffrey says it's not favoritism; it's called history and pedigree, and
He's just a salty prick.
He is very much. He apparently he came out after the Champions League exit and said that he was never in any uncertain terms said, or any certain terms rather, that he needs to win the Champions League. But if I recall correctly, he was brought in to specifically win that effing trophy, if I'm not mistaken.
He's done nothing different though.
He is bullshitting. I mean, without anything going his way in Europe, and the City fans need to understand this as well. I mean, City fans want to give us shit, but I mean, Klopp isn't the one who says, I need a full Anfield for a Champions League match. Pep Guardiola is actually asking for his fans to come out and watch them play in the Champions League. So their own fans don't even know what they want when it comes to Europe. But he's going to tell us that everyone wants to favor Liverpool because of their European pedigree. Fuck, it's not our fault that we've been so damn good in Europe. We've won it 6 times now. And yeah, it's been one Premier League in 30 years. But you've won how many? And you came with the team that was already made, effectively. Pellegrini, Mancini before you.
They both won Premier League
The core was already
so
there.
Done nothing
and
different.
then you just, I need more money, Daddy. Daddy, here you go, son. Here you go, son. Here you go, son. Whereas Klopp is like, I need players. Yeah, you can't have him, maximum. Oh, he doesn't want to leave. I'll wait 2 years for him. Like we've waited for players to become available to come to us. We can't just throw money at players and expect them to come, which brings us to the whole situation. Now, Pete, I know you want to speak about this, about Erling Haaland, who apparently, as far as we know, has confirmed he'll be signing for Man City. So what the fuck? How are you supposed to fucking sit there and say to this bloke, deadpan face, saying, are you serious, mate? You want to talk about favoritism and not winning the league in how many years, but you're literally throwing money at Grealish, throwing money at Haaland, and you're going to sit here and say everyone favors Liverpool? Fuck out of my face, bro.
You know what? He's so desperate to create this underdog story that what they're doing is so
They're
hard
not an
to
underdog. You are one of the richest clubs in the
He's-
world. Everything you want is
he's
given
doing
to
this whole
you.
thing where he's trying to create this story that what he's doing is absolutely amazing. Look, what he's doing, don't get me wrong, is amazing. But I would like to see him do that without that kind of checkbook. I like to see him do that with our checkbook. I like to see him do that with, for example, what West Ham are doing. I like to see him try and do something like that with someone who hasn't got a blank checkbook and says, "Who do you need, Haaland? Was it 100 million? No problem here. What, Grealish? Yeah, I'll give you $100 million for his headband and shit socks." Like for me, it's like what he does is great for the eye and for the neutral person and for the people who are obsessed with football in general, because he's very innovative and does some things that look, he does some cool things with the football, but come on, man. No, before, like I said, before him, Pellegrini had won the league, Mancini had won the league. Him winning the league is not impressive.
Yeah.
What's impressive is that Liverpool are actually maintaining this much pressure for this amount of time consistently. That's impressive.
And he's panicked.
But not him winning the league with the first ever $1 billion squad.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
I want to talk about spending money and shit like that, and the whole talk about him saying that everyone wants Liverpool to win. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know anyone who really has Liverpool in mind to be doing the business. Sure, in Europe they want an English representative club. Manchester United fans may beg to differ. Everton fans may beg to differ. But at the end of the day, you want to blame us now for being up there because we've actually managed to play in Europe. Maybe we are better suited for Europe than you are suited for Europe. But that's something that you need to sort out as a manager of this club. It says here, Jamie Phillips, Klopp could take him from League 2 and get them to win the Premier League. That's why, for me, Klopp is the best in the world, because he came with shit.
100%.
Nathaniel, I'm not saying these players were crap by any means, but let's look at the first starting 11 that he had against Tottenham. Milner was playing, Lallana, Klein. Who do you have in the midfield?
Emre Can.
Chan was still playing there. Thank you. I mean, we had Mignolet in goals. You want to talk about Origi. You want to talk about coming in and transferring a team. He had Aguero, one of the greatest Premier League strikers, footballing strikers in the world. He had him there ready made. You want to tell me that if Klopp came into City, he wouldn't have won 5 titles by now? Fuck out of here, bro.
And
but look, this is another thing that, like, and as Australians, it's a little bit harder for us to speak about, but being Liverpool fans our entire lives, we understand it. But we cannot be favourites, and the whole media goes for us when the media for years called us the criminals and put us in this limelight of being the bad guys. Do you know what I mean? And we all know from what outcome that, we all know the story. But how are we the favourites and under the media, pin-up boys, when it's there that we are literally the opposite of that and have been since it all started. So for me, I don't. It shows how uneducated he is with us in general and the Premier League in general, because he's probably got his head so far up his own ass that he doesn't know that these things have occurred whilst he hasn't been here. And yeah, okay, you can talk about one Premier League title in 30 years, but it took us a long time to recover within those 30 years of a lot of shit that was happening. So we had owners that fucked us. He's had owners who have done the opposite. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. For me, that kind of comment, and I don't want to talk about it much longer, but that kind of comment for me is just complete stupidity, and it makes him look a lot dumber. And I actually lost a lot of respect for him over these past couple of years too, because of these comments he's made just randomly. Like, he can ask, so Pep, how was the spaghetti yesterday? Yeah, but Liverpool, every time he says Liverpool, for me, he says Liverpool. It's obviously Liverpool have better spaghetti. But what are you on about?
The red sauce reminds me of Liverpool jerseys. The red sauce.
Yeah, it's like, but tomato sauce is red. Why does it have to be about Liverpool all the time?
I'm very happy. More than you believe. More than you believe. Liverpool. That's what he would say.
Again, Jamie Phillips, football chat's on fire.
Thank you Thank you. And this gets under Pep's skin. This is what shits him the most because he has been to one final, lost it. He's made what 2 semi-finals, lost them. Buckled under Monaco. Who else did he buckle under? Porto, I
Tottenham.
think it was. Tottenham as well. Of course, we've got that. Minced through us a couple of years ago as well. Was it 5-1 on aggregate or whatever the hell it was, or
Yeah, it was 5-1.
something like that. So he's gone so close yet so far, and that's what cooks him. Because I guarantee, if Pep was to win the Champions League with this current City squad, or within the last 5 years that he's been there, for example, no one would be giving him the amount of shit they're giving him because he'd have nothing to really speak about. He can say comfortably, "I've won everything there is to win here: League Cup, Premier League, Charity Shields, FA Cup, and the Champions League, Club World Cup, whatever that aside, the main trophies." He would have said, "I've done it all. So what else is there?" Then he has no reason to talk. But until that happens, look at us. We won everything in one season. Major trophies: Premier League, Champions League, Club World Cup, and the Cup Winners' Cup. All right, some will probably disregard them, but still, like stuff we hadn't won before. I hadn't won in a long time, and it all counts. And if he wants to talk about trophies won, well, then you've won the League Cup how many times? And if that's so meaningful for you, then the League Cup for us this season was meaningful as well. So you can get fucked. I'm sorry, I just had to have a bit of a rant there. I'm sick of this bold prick. I'm sick of this bold prick now. It was good to say, "Oh, Pep's here. He's mad. He's doing this. He's doing that." Now he's just acting like a spoiled child who has got the Ferrari. Someone else has got like the model underneath them, but somehow they're better at driving that Ferrari than what he is. In a sense, he's still leading, but not by much, because the other person behind him has got more skill, because they have more nous as to how to navigate this Ferrari than he does. Because if something goes wrong, just throw another extension on it, throw another alteration to it, just do it up a little bit more. That's his way of thinking. That's his business. Anyways, I'm done with the rant.
I just read a ESPN UK have actually just put up a picture, which is harder to win. And we probably can't see it. It's the Premier League or the Champions League. Which trophy is harder to win?
Good question. Is it going to be biased in this question? Or do you say the Premier League? Look, I've always been of the opinion it's harder to win a league than it is to win a knockout cup competition. That's always been my stance. So I can't be a hypocrite and say I'm going to go back on my word, because when it comes to knockout games, you win a game, you lose a game. The wind can blow one direction and it throws you off completely. I'm going to have to stay by my stance and say it's harder to win a league. And I'm not saying that the Champions League is easy to win, but I think over the span of 38 rounds, it's harder to maintain that sort of marathon rather than a marathon that turns into a sprint in a cup game, a cup competition, if that makes sense.
Steve?
Not to be controversial, I think there's two questions here. Which one does... I think the team who wins the league shows who's the better team, because that's consistency over a 38 game span. But I think the Champions League is harder to win than the league. Because, as Nick alluded to there, in the league, you can lose a couple of games. I mean, we've lost 2 and drawn a few too many this season, and we're probably not going to win the league as a result of it. The Champions League, I mean, yeah, in the group stage, you can lose a game here, you can draw a game. When it comes to the knockout, they're 2 legs, yeah. You can lose one, but it makes it harder the next one to get through. I think the Champions League harder because you've got to look at physical numbers. How many league titles have we won? How many European Cups have we won? That's the way I would look at it.
Well, you can say that for everybody, right?
How many league titles has everybody won in comparison to the European? And we're not just coming up against the best teams in England. For example, at the minute, there's us in the Premier League, there's us and City. We're leaps and bounds ahead of everyone else in England. Then you throw in the other European teams. You've got the likes of, obviously, Real Madrid coming up. Very good team. You've got, and I know they got beaten by Villarreal, but Bayern Munich, very good European team. There's plenty of decent European teams. I think, and I'm not just saying this because we're in the Champions League final and it looks like we've lost out on the league. I think the Champions League is harder to win.
If you look at it like this, right? Look at the history of the Champions League. How many different winners there are. It's you got Real Madrid obviously on fucking 3 million.
13,
'Cause
yeah.
Then you've got AC Milan on 7, Liverpool on 7 soon. Then
I like that.
Bayern Munich on 5 or 6.
Yeah, they're on 5.
And then
I think,
after
aren't
that, there's only like a few threes. Then it goes to just 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So I think to win a Champions League for me is like we've said it here in the comments. You've got to play the best teams across Europe, and at really difficult points of the year in the middle of your seasons, and you've got to travel. I think it's probably is more difficult to win the Champions League purely because of those factors. But at the same time, to win a league, God, you need to be, especially in the Premier League now, you need to have a perfect season.
you? Yeah.
But look at the points we're at. 86 points as opposed to, 83 as opposed to 86. If I'm not mistaken, it was it United won the league on 86 points in 08-09 when we were chasing them before the 13-14 season. So
Yeah.
effectively, this would have been us winning a league. You say you got 3 games left, you're going to get 6 out of 9 points, let's say. That still takes you to 89 points. You've won a league. Now with these blokes, they get money thrown at them left or money given to them every time they ask for some pocket money. They're just overstepping nonstop. Yes, you have your fluke seasons. Leicester came in and just, tore it apart. Like, you can't argue with that. Chelsea come in as well a couple of years ago and did the business when I think Conte come in for his return, and then he went to Inter again. So it is hard. There are certain circumstances that it takes to win a league. But like you said, Pete, I'm just looking at the winners now. Like, there ain't many repeat club badges in there. I mean, Villa's won 1. Nottingham Forest have won 2. Ajax, Feyenoord, United. You've got Real Madrid in there, Inter Milan, Barcelona. You've got Chelsea. You've got Porto, Marseille, Red Star Belgrade. So there are clubs out there that will never make a Champions League final again. And yet we've been in how many finals, lost a couple. But in saying that, still, you don't get there by being average.
No. And like Steve said earlier, you can't afford losses. So you have to win majority of the time in the Champions League. Like you said, in group stage, you can get away with a loss, maybe 2, depending on the group and how it works. But other than that, you can't really afford to lose any game after that. Unless you do something real freaky like Real Madrid the other day, or something we did against Barcelona, which again you don't see on a consistent basis. But it's this question here. I'm sure this we can wrap it up on this one, but because we've got the FA Cup this weekend, and we may or may not do a show until then. So why not? Let's just talk about it quickly. But if we win the FA Cup this year, we've won the Carabao Cup, and we don't win any other cup this year, we just leave it at the domestic double. I would have bidden your arm off for that at the start of the year.
Based on what
100%.
pundits were saying about us, yes, because no one gave us a chance of anything.
Do you know what? This is weird to say, because at the beginning of the season, I had no expectations for us to win this league. On the back of last season, with the injuries we'd had, with the run we'd had, I thought top 4 finish, and I actually thought domestic cups. I'd happily get a domestic cup, and I actually thought at the beginning of the season we're going to win the League Cup and we're going to win the FA Cup, and that's it. And that still might end up being right, and I'll be gutted if it is, because obviously it means we're losing the Champions League and obviously don't win the league. But if we go on and get League Cup, FA Cup, Champions League, I'm happy with that. There's no.
You better be.
Yeah, I'll be fucking. It improves our fake treble that everyone talks about when we won the League Cup, FA Cup, and UEFA Cup back in 2001. But yeah, I mean, at the beginning of the season, I'd have been happy taking a domestic double. I'd have taken the League Cup, FA Cup. Right now, I'll be disappointed with that, but we'll see what happens.
Now, see, like I said, I'm realistic again. To leave with 2 trophies in a time where there's Manchester City, 2 domestic trophies in a time where there's Manchester City, I should say, or even with Chelsea, who spent a lot of bloody money, and with the top manager as well. And again, the Premier League being so unpredictable, I think it's only because we're so close to the Champions League and we're so close to the Premier League is what will change our opinion on the domestic double. But if you were to remove that emotional attachment to it all, I think for me, to win 2 trophies in a season, I think we need to win as many as possible under Klopp, because I think his time under us needs more trophies. I feel like he hasn't rewarded himself with more trophies, and that's because of City's spending ability. But I think to win 2 trophies this season will be great, because it just adds 2 more to Klopp's legacy. And I think by the time he's done, if he can add another 6, hopefully, I think it will justify his time with us, because this sort of team, this sort of football, this sort of manager, it needs trophies. This won't go down as the best era ever if they don't add trophies to it. And unfortunately,
so another
we have
6.
Sorry, say that again.
Another 6, then, yeah. Another 6.
Oh,
trophies.
that was just off the top of my head,
Let's count them off. FA Cup.
Yeah,
We'll do that. Champions League.
fucking hopefully.
Community Shield.
No, that's not a
Not an
trophy.
official
Fuck
trophy.
off.
Super Cup. World Club Cup. There's 5.
Maybe another Premier League in there.
And the Premier League next season. There's the 6. Done.
So, but that's what I'm trying to say. For me, it's just I don't know. Like I said, I think he deserves all the trophies that he can get, because I think this will go down. You got people who lived through the 80s who were talking about this is potentially the best side they've ever seen.
Yeah.
We need to reward that with trophies, and it just sucks that we've got some bloke who's got an empty checkbook and goes, yeah, okay, let's just win the league next year. I'll just sign these 3.
But you remember people saying like, oh, everyone wants to give Klopp credit. Why? Because he gives his players hugs. And that was only 2 seasons ago. Remember when Pep was winning everything. Well, he's won shit since then. So where's your comeback now? Oh, but he's only won 1 Premier League. Or he hasn't won the FA Cup. Mate, is your club rivaling City right now? Has your club been in the head of this Spanish prick for the last 3 seasons, 4 seasons? I don't think so.
Are you going to clip this comment or not?
I get that
100%. 100%. I'm going to give it to someone who I know is known for making internet memes, see if he wants to use it in something. Definitely guaranteed. I can't stand him anymore. I'm like you, Pete. At first, I was like, yeah, Pep is the way he's doing things. Now it's just become like this spoiled child who is expected to just make things, expected to have things fall on his lap because it's him. And when it doesn't work for him, he'll throw gas at someone else and try and set them on fire in a way. That's what it is for me.
Yeah, it's just I just see it as a guy who's like a spoiled brat who throws his toys at the pram in his interviews at the moment, because he's not getting the praise he wants.
He's trying to deflect blame as well for them going out of the Champions League. He's trying to deflect it. Look at Liverpool. They slipped up. Everyone wants Liverpool to win, but they're not. Why aren't Liverpool getting abuse? Fuck you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no one expected us to be where we are in the Premier League. Let's be real here. Everyone tipped us to be like finishing 4th or outside the top 4. Everyone had Chelsea up there with City. So
everyone had Man United up there.
In fact, please, man, don't make me
true,
laugh.
I know they did. You look at all the pundits in the UK from all the like main broadcasters and stuff, and they all did these predictions. Half of them didn't have us in the top 4. They all went City, Chelsea, Man United, and then it was between us and like Spurs and for 4th. It was just
which goes to show even more reason why people did not expect us to be there, and why people are probably praising us, not to the extent that Pep says that we are, but still people are saying like, shit, give credit to them. Look at what they've done. Wijnaldum left, didn't replace their midfield. Players got injured. Thiago was questionable second half of the season. Yeah, okay, Salah apart, who's been a little bit on the downside. Diaz has come in. Jota's maybe dropped off a little bit, but someone else has stepped up in that absence there. The midfield is doing the business again. Our back line, it has been relatively uninjured for the season. Alisson's been keeping us in games. So what's there to complain about?
There's absolutely nothing to complain about. Obviously, it's annoying that we come up against the likes of City with the money that they can spend and everything. But, I mean, we're, 3 games in the season to go? We can still technically do the quadruple. No team has ever gone this far or this close to doing it. And yes, it's going to be tough, but there is nothing to complain about. Enjoy it while it's here, because Klopp's not going to be around forever. I know he's signed his extension, but he's going to go eventually, and the team's going to move and change. And we just got to hope that we can evolve as a team and don't have that drop off that we've experienced in the past, and that United are going through now and teams like that. Enjoy it while it's here, because we may never see a team this good putting on the Liverpool shirt for years to come.
That's a good point there. It'll be a travesty if we don't win at least another Premier League title in the next year or two. But I suppose that's the situation that we're dealt with now, Pete, I guess.
Look, I think heading into the FA Cup final, I just saw it now. We get 24 hours more rest than Chelsea do, while Chelsea are going away to Leeds United, who Leeds United must win.
They're
And
fucking terrible.
Yeah,
And as we
at
said
Ellen
earlier,
Road.
Chelsea could be finishing as low as 5th if they keep dropping off. So it's something that, for me, it's a game they must win anyway, and they've got to play to win. So that, to have that kind of extra rest, I think for us, finally, we're the one who gets an advantage, which is great, because normally it's us who have to play Saturday and then play again on Sunday. So I just thought that could be interesting for us. And does it swing it in our way? Maybe not, but I like to think that way.
It is a one-off game. It's a Chelsea haven't been in the best of form in recent games. Neither have we. You could argue. I mean, the Villarreal comeback was one thing, the Tottenham game another. But anyways, there's probably a discussion amongst that somewhere. But Rahul says, just to finish off the comments, and appreciate the interaction as well, mind you. Really do appreciate people tuning in and just giving us their thoughts and opinions. He says, confident about tomorrow. I think it'll be a tricky game. We'll just do some predictions just for the fun of it. Pete's second favourite team, Aston Villa's coming to town. Old mate Steven Gerrard. What's going to happen in this game, Pete?
Stevie's going to press us because he
On
wants to
purpose.
be dominant at home.
He wants to be dominant at home. He's like, Steve, you're a few years away yet, mate. What are you doing? Steve's
He
taking
knows
a
what he's
swig.
doing. He knows what he's doing.
Steve's taking a swig. What do you think, Steve?
I don't think it's going to be an enjoyable game. I think it's going to be another one of those hard ground out results. I think we'll win, but Villa at home is never easy. Stevie G, points proof, as much as it would hurt him to take points of us because he'd love us to see us win the league. But I think we win this. I think we bounce back from the Spurs result and then go into the FA Cup final at the weekend with a bit of confidence.
Jamie Phillips, Football Chats on fire. All streamers, Peter said before, 4-0 to the Liverpool game, he says. So you never know. We need that goal difference to come back. And of course, City got Wolves to think about, and that's all they have to think about because they have nothing else left. But we still have 2 cup finals to play. The next weekend's
5 cup finals.
5 potentially. I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch. I have 5 chickens here. One of them, is nearly there. The others, we have to question and see what happens with the eggs, rather, not the chickens. But that is what it is. So we'll just wrap it up there. So just thank you for joining, Peter and Steve. It has been a nice discussion and good to get a bit of frustration vented out there as well. At least for myself, for my liking, anyways. You guys can let us know your comments if you're watching this in the future. Let us know what you think in the lead up to the FA Cup game. But I am Nick. That is Peter. That is Steve. We are the Red Sea Down Under, care of the Red Sea Podcast. There you go. Our socials there at Red Sea Down Under and the Red Sea Pod. Look for more content throughout the channel throughout the rest of the month of May. And we'll see what happens post after that. And anything can happen. So appreciate everyone joining in once again. And that's it from us. Take care, everybody. Goodbye. Up the Reds.